I have been asked by Dr. Ilham if I could probably put this event within an international context. Why are we here? Dr. Hisham kindly and eloquently explained how it developed, but why has this developed? So I want to show you a couple of slides. So this book actually was written by, as you can see, by somebody called Harry Lewis, and Harry Lewis is a professor and a retired professor at Harvard University. He wrote the book after he retired, and of course, he was not only a professor, he's a dean at one stage and other positions he held. And you can sense from the title, of course, Harvard is a liberal organization, but he has described the situation in Harvard as they have excellence without a soul. They do produce the best graduates, but there are no values and no ethics. And I don't know, I have many quotations from the book explaining the situation, but the only thing I want you to see today is what he called this education, or this excellence, hollow excellence, meaning, and he described it, he quotes a British poet, T.S. Eliot, saying, shape without form, shade without colors, paralyzed force, gesture without motion, meaning we lost our values. They lost the values that Harvard was started on. No values, no ethic, no compassion. Those graduates do not have a little compassion when they practice their... So there is definitely a crisis of education all over the world. A lot of people admit that. Some people tell you, crisis, what a crisis. There is no crisis, everything is all right, and we should just move on. You people talk about problems and crisis, but there is, and actually education systems in a lot of countries, internationally, as well as in Muslim countries, they run like a headless chicken. Have you seen a headless chicken? Some of you must have that. What is unique about headless chickens? Dr. Alia, they are dead, but they move in all directions, so they seem to be alive, but actually, in fact, they are completely dead. So they run all over the place, surrounded by other headless chickens. And I am not inventing this crisis. A lot of books have been written on this. Look at this list of books that are, these are just, I spent a few minutes, believe me, and I came up with all these books on the crisis of education in many Western countries, African countries, Asian countries. These more books here, more books there, but very little written on the situation of education in Muslim societies. A lot of universities in the Muslim world, they claim to have excellence, which is not true. Some say, yes, we may not have excellence, but we at least have soul. In fact, the majority have no excellence, have no soul whatsoever. 2 years ago, was it 2 years ago? I think it was in 2017, the Adin Sadar, known to all of you, he called me and he said, Anas, there's a very important conference on education in Rome, an international conference. And the title of the conference you can see here is called Future Education. It's very important that you go. There will be a lot of ministers of education, rectors, deans, and they come from different parts of the world, and they are all concerned about the situation of education, and you will probably learn a lot. He was, of course, with us on the committee of advancing education in Muslim society. So I went, and I thought, going there on my own, I may not be able to link with all those important people who have probably done a lot of work on education. So I took with me Dr. Baddi here and Khadija, and we decided to spread and reach as many people as possible. And if you can see all these logos, the conference was organized by these top organizations and institutions, and attended, as I told you, by many former and current ministers of education, deans, university rectors, etc. After the first session, one of the organizers, he was brave enough to say, I'll tell you people, we have done nothing, and we do not know what to do. I'll tell you, our trip was a complete failure. We didn't find anybody that we can actually link with in order to help us develop our own interest in education. There was only one lecturer, former lecturer from Harvard, who spoke about future-wise. He was saying that we need, when we plan for education, we need to plan for the next 20 years, because those who are studying now are going to graduate and practice in 20 years, not the next year, not in 3 years. So that was a very interesting book. I forgot his name. You remember his name, Khadija? Future-wise. David Perkins from Harvard University. He gave an outstanding. That is why advancing the educational societies started with the steps that were described by Dr. Hisham. We need to map and understand and analyze and do a lot of empirical research in order to be able to come with policies. A lot of people governments launch education reforms without even giving the time to study what is needed and what is required. That is why we are here. This is the first step in a very promising practical approach to reforming, advancing education in Muslim society. Thank you very much. Wassalamu alaikum.